from Tel Aviv. Thank you very much. Now we move on. Clashes have erupted in Mexico City on the anniversary of deadly Now we move on to our next news. Crowds of protesters marched through downtown Casablanca in Morocco, chanting against corruption and demanding social justice, freedom, and improvements in education and healthcare, as part of a wave of youth-led demonstrations across the country. Moroccan Prime Minister Aziz Akhanouch has said that he was open to dialogue to end protests as security forces prepared for a sixth night of demonstrations that have escalated into riots across the country. Hundreds of people have been arrested and injured, with buildings ransacked and cars torched since the protest began on Saturday last week. Initially with demands for better education and healthcare. The protests initially began with demands for better education and healthcare. They have been organized by a loosely formed anonymous youth group calling itself Gen Z 212, using online platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, and the gaming app Discord. Now we move on. Sean Diddy Combs, an American rapper and businessman, submitted a letter to U.S. District Court Judge Arun Subramanian yesterday, a day before his sentencing in Manhattan. This comes sex trafficking. The 55-year-old hip-hop artist faces up to 20 years in prison, with U.S. federal prosecutors seeking more than 11 years and a $500,000 million fine. Moreover, Combs was earlier acquitted on the more serious charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. His defense has now asked for a 14-month sentence, which would not account for time already served term in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. Meanwhile, in the letter that Diddy submitted, he has accepted responsibility for his actions, expressing remorse for assaulting his former partner and acknowledging past mistakes in his personal life. He has also described struggles with drug abuse, sharing that he is now sober for the first time in 25 years. Additionally, Diddy has asked the court for mercy, citing his responsibilities as a father to his 7 children, and described the inhumane conditions that he has endured while incarcerated. Sean Diddy Combs, an American rapper and businessman, submitted a letter to U.S. District Court Judge Arun Subramanian yesterday, a day before his sentencing in Manhattan. This comes after his July conviction in 2 counts of transporting individuals to engage in prostitution, while he was acquitted of the more serious charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. The 55-year-old hip-hop artist faces up to 20 years in prison, with U.S. federal prosecutors seeking more than 11 years and $500,000 million fine. Moreover, Combs was earlier acquitted on more serious charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. His defense has now asked for a 14-month sentence, which would account for time already served term in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. Meanwhile, in the letter that Diddy submitted, he has accepted responsibility for his actions, expressing remorse for assaulting his former partner and acknowledging past mistakes in his personal life. He has also described struggles with drug abuse, sharing that he is now sober for the first time in 25 years. Additionally, Diddy has asked the court for mercy, citing his responsibilities as a father to his 7 children, and described the inhumane conditions that he has endured while incarcerated. Now, for this discussion, we are joined by our guest, Gautam Mukherjee. He's a senior journalist, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Gautam Mukherjee, for joining us. Good to see you. Now, how might Sean Diddy Combs' letter, do you think this can change anything, knowing that the accounts that he's charged for?
It doesn't look like it and reduce the sentence, but I don't think it has much chance of success.
Does this hold any significance of for the 14-month sentence that he's requesting, and can this influence anything considering the charges that he was convicted of and also the time already served?
No, I don't think so. I think he's squarely guilty and will have to serve his sentence.
Right. And what are the broader implications of Coombs's conviction on transportation to engage in prostitution, particularly regarding the legal and public perception of celebrity figures involved in such legal controversies?
Well, when celebrity figures get involved in things like this, they're under the impression that they will be treated differently. The law will not strictly apply to them, and they will get away with it by and large. Now, when you don't bend the rules for them, perhaps they'll be more careful in future.
Right. And do you think that Didi can come back after his sentences? Do you think he can come back to the public light? And do you think that his fans will accept him?
Yes, I think that will happen once he's served his sentence. There are many celebrities who are indicted and convicted for various things. Once they serve their sentence, they can go back to their celebrity status, and if they still display talent, there is no reason why their fans will not stick with them.
And building on our first or second question, how do Didi's statements about overcoming drug abuse and his role as a father factor into the argument for leniency in his sentencing? Do you think that this is just too small of a reason for him to bring it up to ask for leniency?
Well, his lawyer will have advised him to put all the positives there in the hope that it will lighten the sentence. However, many of these things are self-inflicted, and if you stop doing them, if you stop abusing drugs, for example, then the main beneficiary is you yourself. And so that is reward enough. Whether it should go some distance to reduce sentences for your wrongdoing, I don't know, and I don't think so.
And do you think that this kind of celebrities using or leveraging on the fact that they're celebrities so they might get away with some of the law, do you think this happens elsewhere in the world as well and not just Hollywood?
Yes, it is tried everywhere. In some countries, it even works, particularly if the celebrity is also politically connected. But if you have a functioning judicial system, and in America, by and large, the judicial system is functioning and working quite well, then this kind of thing doesn't really work.
Yes, and what factors should be considered when determining a fair sentence for someone, even such big moguls, music moguls, or celebrities convicted of serious charges, particularly when they express remorse and have taken responsibility for their actions?
Well, I think it is a matter of good behavior while in prison. Sometimes there is a remission of sentence after, say, 2/3 of the sentence has been already undertaken. This happens quite often. It happens even with murderers. let alone drug addicts and people who abuse others like this.
And lastly, Gautam Mukherjee, how might this celebrities or particularly Diddy's past struggles, such as overcoming drug abuse and fulfilling family responsibilities, impact? Although we have said that it won't change much, is there any case where these kind of reasoning has impacted the court's decision on sentencing?
Not really. As I said before, overcoming your drug abuse is commendable, and the main beneficiary is you yourself. The other point about drug abuse, alcohol abuse, any kind of addiction, is that it is renowned to be one day at a time. Just because you've overcome it for the time being does not mean you've overcome it for the rest of your life. You could easily relapse and start all over again. So, in terms of a court sentence, you can take this into account and hope that the person will not abuse drugs in future, but there is no certainty, as the record proves, not just in the case of an individual, but in general.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Gautam Mukherjee for joining us and sharing that insight as a senior journalist.